I think I can see lots of people joining now. So yeah, brilliant. Lovely to see you all. Yeah, I really enjoyed. I was actually presenting as part of your conference back in the summer, so it's great to see lots of people joining back in and to be part of this again to help support you. I understand that January's been a very busy, quite a stressful month, coming straight back in after Christmas and having to deal with all of your client self-assessments, tax returns. So there's suddenly been a lot of pressure and stress. I am imagining, timelines, deadlines to get your work done. So it's great that you're taking February to recognize the need to actually slow down a little bit and take some time for yourselves. So yeah, today I'm really, grateful to be part of this, and hopefully I can offer some insights, some tips on how you can start to build more healthy habits into your day that will just help you, with the lifestyle that you have being a bookkeeper. So I'll just move on to the next slide. Sorry, here we go. Next slide. So yeah, this is really, if you read this, your health and well-being should be your number one priority. So nothing else is more important. And I think, historically, we have really swept this, our feelings, or, brushed it under the carpet, our day-to-day, how we're feeling. A lot of the time we do brush this under the carpet, and it does tend to build up. We have prioritized focusing so much on what we do, what we're doing day to day, being busy, that we have disconnected from who we're being. We've sort of don't often take the time to just think about, well, what do I value? Who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? We are very focused in losing ourselves in lots of the doing. And by being busy, we avoid having to feel many of our emotions. And I think sometimes that's why so many of us create such busy days, because we don't really have to look inward and think about some of the things that impact us. And this does, over time, it does lead to health problems. So it's very important for us to take the time and just think about, well, who is it that I'm being? Who is it that I want to be? So the challenges that we face, and I'm in the same position, I work alone as well. I've got a family, I'm at home. So it's very much, we are in a position where we are isolated from many people. We're running around caring after our families, after our children, sometimes after elderly relatives as well. So there can be really a lot of pressure on us, and we don't feel it because it builds up slowly. And often, a lot of us, we're resilient. We can take on quite a lot, but our body is still sending us the signals that it wants us to slow down. So, it's very important to try and tune in and listen to ourselves. And again, that being side of things, try and reconnect with, well, who is it that we are? We've got many roles. You're not just a bookkeeper, you are many things in your life. And it's about taking the time to just acknowledge that. With regard to spending long time of periods of time alone, we can start to feel quite disconnected from people. And as much as you're seeing people on Zoom and you're dealing with your clients, sometimes the relationship build isn't quite there. So it's about really trying to reconnect and, form those relationships with your clients, but as well as with your community as well. And then the dealing with the pressure, the setbacks, it's trying to see the other side of this all of the time, that there is a lot of opportunity often that comes from setbacks that we face. So it's trying to remain positive, often in the face of a lot of adversity. I'm sure you've got many situations with clients where you look at the circumstance and you sort of wish it was another way. You wish your clients would get certain bits of information to you sooner or in a better format, or the way they deal with you, answering calls. There's many things we quickly start to blame the circumstance. Sometimes we forget the power that we have to take control of things and think about, well, what is it we can do? how can we influence this situation, as opposed to looking at them or the circumstance. What can we do ourselves? So there's many challenges that we face, and the issue with stress can be quite good in the short term because it sends us into action. So some short-term stress is okay. Our bodies enjoy a bit of stress. It does help us take action. However, over a prolonged period of time, it does lead to burnout. Prolonged stress over time that we're not fully recognizing, when we're a bit numbed of our emotions, that can really lead us on a path of burnout. So, I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, really. So really, when I work with people, I should have maybe said at the beginning, for those of you that weren't in the session in the summer, I'm an accredited coach. So I work with people to help them with their performance, but it's the well-being, really. It's the well-being that underpins everything. I work with some very high performers, and I work with people who want to be high performers. However, it's their well-being and their sense of peace and contentment inside that really does impact how well they're going to perform. So it's, often people get carried away with thinking, well, when I perform better, then I will feel this way. And it's actually reversing that. And it's about, well, I need to feel a certain way first, and then my performance can increase. And that comes back to that being and doing. Who am I being? Rather than focusing just on the doing. So mindset plus action equals results, whether we're talking about performance or whether we're talking about our well-being. It's all one and the same. They're really interconnected. So a good starting point is really to have a look at why am I being a coach? Why are you being a bookkeeper? Why have we got our families? What is it? Let's reconnect with the why, because we get so lost in just the being busy of the day to day. It's really coming back and having a think about, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose? I mean, many of you sound like you go above and beyond to really serve your clients. And as much as I'm sure you enjoy doing that, little bits of resentment can start to build sometimes if we're not really connected with the why we're doing it, as opposed to just feeling like we're pleasing people or we have to do that. So it's really, again, realizing your own power and the control that you have to look for the positive side of things, rather than you're doing things but with that slight resentment. It is about really powerfully wanting to connect and serve your clients that will make you ultimately feel better. So I would suggest one exercise that's really good is just take some, 5-10 minutes and write a list of your why. Think back to the beginning of your career when you were first becoming accredited and passing all those exams yourself. Why did you want to become a bookkeeper? This can be a real selfish list. It could be to do with the fact you wanted the lifestyle, you wanted to be able to work from home and have the time for your family. Really reconnect with that reason. And then when we start to look at our day-to-day, we think, well, actually, this is something I've created. I'm really proud of what lifestyle I've created. I am not someone who's working in an organization, having to report in, to a manager, or, start to really reconnect with why you've created what you have. And often that really engages more energy within us. We start to approach things with a slightly different mindset because we've come back full circle and reconnected with that initial passion that we had. The other thing to do with, speaking about our mindset, it's how do we set ourselves up to approach our day-to-day tasks? So often there might be a piece of work that you have to complete, and that thought in your mind is just very much, oh, I don't enjoy doing this. I don't really want to do this. So you've got this negative dialogue running through your mind before you approach this task. So that really, when you actually find yourself doing the task, it can make for quite an unpleasant experience because you've told yourself this is not going to be pleasurable. You really have, in your mind, you've got quite stuck as to, I'm not going to enjoy this. I just want it to be over. So it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy we can often do that to ourselves, where we set ourselves up to feel negative about something. So again, what I'd suggest is for those tasks that we can tend to procrastinate on, doubt ourselves, is have a look at, find something about the task that actually isn't so bad. Something, there might be one part of it that you don't mind, that bit of it, the rest you've not been so keen on, but find something that maybe offers some positivity for you and focus on that. And that can be a nice way of being pulled into doing a task, rather than having your mind push you to do it, making you feel guilty, making you feel shame. We are often, there's different ways that our mind can work for us. We can have that judgment voice that is saying, I can't believe you've not done that yet. You need to get that done. And it's pushing us into a task which doesn't feel very nice. Or it could be, hey, why don't we just spend 5 or 10 minutes looking at this? You never know, we might start enjoying it. We might get immersed in it. The time might pass quicker than we think. So it's just how we set ourselves up to think about the task ahead. It has a real profound impact on the action that we'll take. So that's something I've personally just found really insightful, because I did used to have such a negative dialogue about certain things. No wonder I was avoiding it, no wonder. And the other thing about our mindset is, what are the views and the opinions and the beliefs that are actually driving some of these negative stories? So, have I got a fixed view about how something needs to be? This can, some of us can have a bit of a perfectionist tendency. So we get quite fixed ideas about how something needs to be. And because of that, we build a certain task up to be more than it needs to be. And then we avoid doing it. So again, it's about, do I need to start to challenge and question some of the beliefs I have around certain tasks? Could be around certain clients as well. You may have quite fixed ideas about how things should be, rather than just how they are. And that's when, again, we cause ourselves some internal turmoil, and it really impacts on our well-being, because we're living in a place of, it should have been this way. We're beating ourselves up, and it might be going on in the background quietly, but it's there, and it can over time really drag us down. So it is about trying to explore, some of our beliefs. I mean, as an example, not related to a specific work task, but I used to believe that I wasn't any good in the morning. I wasn't a morning person. So any conversation I had where it was on this topic, I'd say, oh no, I'm terrible in the morning. I can't get up early. And so I was saying this to myself. I was saying it out loud. So the brain has a wonderful way of making us right. It really does have a way of proving us right. So when I got up early, I would feel groggy. I could feel a bit sickly for no reason, probably because I was telling myself so strongly that I don't feel good in the morning, that I was just making it happen. So I went round in this cycle. And once I really explored this and thought, well, do I not feel good in the morning? Or is this just a story I'm telling myself and then I'm reliving it every day? And since I've really delved in and explored this, do you know what? I get up, it's not a 5 o'clock start, but I get up 6:30, 6:45, feel absolutely fine. Because I've started to now tell myself, you enjoy getting up in the morning, you've had a good night's sleep and you enjoy it. So I've changed the story, and this can exist for so many different things. We tell ourselves many lies, to be honest. We keep ourselves the way we know ourselves. It's comfortable. So challenging some of our own beliefs about ourselves can have such an impact to how certain things then feel. And I would challenge you all to just have a look at those tasks that you do know that you put off, that you don't enjoy. Just have a delve around and question, is that, what's the belief sitting below that? What am I believing about that task to enjoy it, to not enjoy it so much? And what could I start believing about it that could lead me to find some pleasure, some enjoyment? And that will stop the avoidance. So I found that something really interesting to delve into. The other thing is that I find fascinating, and especially, this is relevant for men as well, but especially women, that we would always used to say, I'm so good at multitasking. Women are fabulous multitaskers. We've got a family, we've got a job, we've got all this going on. Well, actually, multitasking for our brain, it is just not the best way to operate. the healthiest way for us to find our rhythm and our flow is to focus on one thing at a time. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have these different roles in our life, but now I try my best. And it is, it does take effort, because we do find ourselves with our children sometimes answering a text or a message to do with work. But it is really, really trying to focus and be present on the thing that I'm doing in that moment. So it's not having 3 pieces of work open at the same time. It's really focusing and trying to find a flow, trying to find that moment where you're so lost in what it is that you're doing that time does just pass, and you are in a flow state. And we are so much more effective when we focus on the one thing. So it is about this being present, really, truly being present. And that has been a big game changer for me, to realize that trying to have multiple things going on at the same time, that the story I was telling myself there is that's a good thing, that's good, that I can do that, I can have a lot going on, or I must be really efficient. However, for me, it would often lead to a lot of overwhelm. I couldn't think straight sometimes, and my brain just probably didn't really know what is it you want me to focus on, because we're flitting around here, there, and everywhere. Where do you want me to focus? And since I've become aware of that, and again, just had a little bit of time to explore that with myself, I am now, fully on board with this one thing at a time. Be really present, be really, have an intention, really have the intention. So rather than just going through the motions, it's about, well, when I meet with this client today, what is my intention? How do I want to show up? What energy do I want to bring? And it's been very focused on that. So yes, I would say the multitasking, I think that was a big fat lie we were all sold. And I am very much for now just really trying to find that presence, being in the zone. So as I've sort of touched upon earlier, working from home in the way that we do, it's really important that we feel connected to people. And it's not just speaking to people, because we can speak to people all day long and still not feel connected. It's very much about feeling that you're putting energy into building relationships up. And there's different ways we can do this. This is fabulous. The fact that you're a member of the the ICB is a great way to network with each other. But how about making some of the, deepening some of these relationships? Find 2, 3, 4 people that you maybe can create a bit of an accountability pod with. So a group of you that could have a 45-minute catch up each week, where you just get to share some of the things that happened, support each other, encourage each other. And the core theme being here is building some trust between each other, where you can be vulnerable, you can share, but you're also really going to try and operate from a positive side. So you're allowed to state the fact. Let's say there was something negative that happened. It happened, that is a fact. But then it's about, how can we approach this in a positive way? Because what we don't want to do is, drag everyone down with, oh, this has happened, and it's just, it brings it down. It's about, okay, we're going to recognize what's happened, but we're going to look for opportunity there. We're going to see if there is anything that can be salvaged from it. Is there opportunity even just to learn? So it's about supporting and challenging each other, but in a real positive way. And I found that's enabled me to feel like I've got colleagues, rather than being a coach on my own out there, trying to find all the answers for myself. I've suddenly created like a working relationship with other people. And that has really, really helped how I feel about things. And just having that opportunity to talk and to be listened to. And you all understand each other's circumstance as well. So the networking like this is fabulous. However, I would really encourage you to get into some smaller groups and just pop it in your diary, once a week, 45 minutes. And it's a chance to come on with a cup of tea and just, share with each other and just be there for each other. It can make a real big difference. And I'd also say, going out to meet friends and family and that as well. I'm sure you do that anyway, but it's that separation. You are more than your work, aren't you? There's other roles there. So there's having that time to just socialize and be with people outside of a working context, where you're not thinking about work, you're not talking about work. You're just out having, having fun, friends, family, finding the joy in things. And it's actually really good for the brain. It's being connected. It's a primal thing that we as human beings really want. Even if we get in the mindset of it's easier not to, I can't be bothered, I've had a busy day, I haven't got the energy. Doing these things actually over time does re-energize us. So I understand in February, I mean, the thought of getting ready to go out maybe at 6-7 o'clock in the evening, it's easier to stay in, isn't it? Let's face it, it can feel easier. However, the energy that you would probably get from making the effort of going out and spending an hour or two with friends, it has an impact on our well-being. We just get to take ourselves outside of our normal day-to-day, because routines and day-to-day, it's great having a structure when we've got really healthy routines set up, but having a change from that as well just has a very positive impact on us. And we are social, even when we don't always feel it. We are social beings. And again, we can just often build up some negative stories around socializing, and often we're all just looking for connection. It's easy to think that it's I'm on my own with this, and we go into a bit of a mindset of, oh, just get on with it, and we're sort of not really finding the joy in life. Then we are just getting through our days doing that reconnection with who we're being, and then connecting with others. It's really powerful. It can make your life look like a different place when we really go inward. And this is what I lead on to, really. It's about slowing down and taking some time to release ourselves from being in that constant fight or flight mode. Our nervous system can be overactivated often. So we constantly live in this sort of stressed state without realizing it. We might not look outwardly stressed, but it's just there, and it can manifest in a anxiety, worry, just a general feeling. It's just a slight trepidation about things, a worry. So an exercise that I work with people one-to-one, and something that I really have them hone in on, it's all within us. So it's slowing everything down. And throughout the day, a really good exercise to do is just close your eyes. You can just be sitting at your desk, at your computer, just slow everything down, close your eyes, and take 8 breaths in and 8 breaths out. But try and breathe through your belly, through your tummy more, because when we're in our chest, the shallow breathing, it's actually activating our that primal fear within us. It's that shallow breathing is not very good for our nervous system. But when we start to breathe slowly in and out through our belly, just 8 deep breaths, it just slows everything down, and it settles our nervous system. So before you know it, you've opened your eyes back up. You're looking at the same piece of work in front of you, or thinking about what you've got on, and you're suddenly approaching it from a calmer, more stiller, clearer, you create some clarity. And we are so used to flitting from one exercise to the next that we often just don't take the time to slow down and think about, well, what is my intention with this next piece of work? What do I want to, achieve? And really just being purposeful. It can just change things. It can just change how we see our day-to-day. And another thing separate from the breathing, really, is when we look inwards, it's a good exercise to do after you've done the breathing, but just have a little reflect on, what is it that you really do want? We don't often talk about, as a child, we all talk about what we want, don't we? We hear our own kids, they openly and freely every day tell us what they want. And we seem to lose that as adults, because I think we have the idea that it's selfish and we should always be doing things for others, for us to have what we want, well, we come last because we've got a family, they come before us, our clients come before us, our partners come before us. And it's a very subconscious thing, but we put ourselves to the back of the queue and can almost feel guilty when we're doing something that we want. So, I've been very involved in horse riding for the last 4 years. And I regularly take myself off to the stables and I'll ride my horse. And what feelings did I used to have? You know, a lot of guilt. I'd just be thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. I've got 3 children, you know, to go off and, you know, have such a selfish time. But who I showed up for my family then was a better version of me than the person that was trying to, on the surface, and putting everyone else first. But if I'm not in the best place myself, then that's not really a positive role model for my children. It's not someone that I probably was a bit more short-tempered then, because it's, you know, you've got these wants and desires inside of you and we just brush them to one side. So I'd really say have a good reflect on, you know, what it is that you want. It may be that you do need to build some time in for a hobby for yourself, something creative, something just that is selfishly for you. It can be anything. It's just that time. But we do have the tendency to feel guilty when it's talking about time for us. And it's really, really important, and it does have an impact. You will be more effective and your performance will improve by having other things going on in your life, which I'm sure so many of you do already. But I would just urge you, if you do have those activities going on already, don't feel guilty about it. It is the best thing you could be doing for yourself. It really is. You know, it's one of the areas in your life that build your overall well-being. And that is just so, it is, as the first slide said, it's the most important thing. It's going to have the biggest impact on everything else you do. It's like when we go on the aeroplane, isn't it? And they say, you know, in the event of an emergency, fit your own oxygen mask on first. It's exactly the same in our life. We need to be looking after ourselves, and then we can better serve other people, you know, our role, our families, our friends. And one other area that's really interesting, I tuned into a webinar that was delivered by the Neuro Institute for Leadership. And they said there's one area of our brain, and when we're talking about creating a healthy brain, there's one area that is to do with just, it's called downtime. They call it downtime. And it's sitting there and it's just allowing yourself to daydream. It's not, and it's intentional daydreaming. So it's not procrastination where you're actually putting something off and we all find ourselves sitting there thinking of something else because we're putting a task off. It's more of a, I'm going to go and sit for 10 minutes now and just look out the window and just daydream. And it's very, very good for the brain to switch to this other area that just becomes more creative. You know, it helps us be more innovative. It just accesses that side of the brain that isn't all about logic and analytical and, you know, the constantly having to be busy and do a task. It just allows us to be. And again, it's that tapping into that side of things that is, who are we? Who am I being? So I found that really interesting, because I was thinking to myself, well, yeah, I suppose I do just sit and daydream sometimes. But actually, when I really thought about it, it wasn't intentional. I just found myself doing that, probably because I was avoiding moving on to the next thing I had to do, where this is much more just pop it in your calendar, even for 10 minutes at a certain time, to go and sit and, you know, don't put the television on, don't wash the dishes, don't do anything. Just look out the window for 10 minutes and just sit and be. And it will charge you up. It will charge you up for the next thing you've got on. We often think we're too busy to do things like that, but it will actually help you be more effective in your next task. And the other thing is, I think, is just, you know, this is what they came on as well on this webinar about the health of our brain. It was about play, have fun, you know, take your dog out on a walk and laugh at the dog playing, or play with the kids and just have fun. And it's healthy for us. It's very good for the brain just to be able to enjoy and have fun. I think with children, as they get older, I mean, I've got a teenager as well as a 7-year-old, and it's so easy to fall into the trap with my teenager of everything. You know, I'm just nagging her over things sometimes. That's it. It can feel like a constant do this, do that. And it's lovely just to reconnect, actually, and have fun with them. Forget their room's messy. If it doesn't bother them, it's not going to bother me. You know, it is sometimes stepping away and thinking, what is more important, my relationship with this person, or the fact their room is tidy, or that their homework is done on time? Because often we do prioritize these things, and then, you know, the moment's gone, isn't it? the moment goes. And it is about trying to have some fun in between. And I think that is, it's so important for our well-being. That comes back to the being connected as well, doesn't it? Now, this I find really interesting. And this is about how we would describe our own character. And if someone was to ask us, give me a list of your personal characteristics, the things that we would run through. Now, I just find this. So any negative personal characteristic is only a habit misunderstood as a characteristic. So basically, we are just people walking around that have got such embedded ways of doing things, habits, things that we do, whether we get up first thing in the morning, make a cup of tea, put the television on, we just have these habits. And they start to become like part of our character. Like I was saying earlier, oh, I'm no good in the morning. I'm not very good at getting up early. Well, that was just, it turns out that was just a habit I got myself into. And it's not actually my character. It's not who I am, because now I've changed that. I've changed that habit. So now I am someone that can get up in the morning and feel great, because I've changed the habit and I've built a new pathway. So, within our brains, we have certain pathways that have been trampled down. Almost if you picture a forest with lots of different pathways, we need to trample down some new positive pathways rather than the old habitual way of living. We need to think, are my habits that I have at the moment, the routines and habits that I have daily, are they serving me? Are they helping me to get to the overall place that I want to be or feel the way I feel? When we talk about our well-being, we are talking about feeling a level of peace and contentment and happiness. Success is all of those things. Success is not just all about performance, because I'm sure we all know some very successful people that are not particularly content or happy. So, there's a big message there. It really is about, let's try and build habits that are doing, they're helpful to us. They are helping us to enjoy our days. It is possible to change. One thing that I've changed, it was only a small thing, but I realized that I had just habitually been watching the news for the last 25 years every morning as soon as I got up. It's the first thing I did. And it's only been after Christmas this year. It was over the holiday time, and I thought, why do I do that? I think it was having my parents' day. And my dad is a big news watcher. He always watched it. And I thought, it's not even my habit. I've picked up someone else's habit. I've picked up my dad's habit, and it's become part of who I am. So every day I was setting myself up, listening to everything going on out there, rather than what I am wanting to create and I am wanting to build. I'm taking in all these negative messages as the first thing in the morning for me. So then I go about my day and wonder maybe why I get blocked in certain areas, why I can't take action in certain areas. And it's probably because my mindset isn't there. My mindset isn't in the place to be focused and determined and positive, because I've just taken in probably a lot of negative messages that aren't relevant to me, things I can't do anything about. There's no control there. So I've set my day up feeling quite powerless, really. I'm out of control to do anything about those things that I would love to be able to do something about, but I can't. So that's quite a negative way, isn't it, to start your day? So I've stopped watching the news. And I found it now, after a week or two, it's just become normal. It doesn't even now, when I get up, it doesn't cross my mind to put the television on. Instead, I sit and I spend 2 minutes writing down what I'm going to do today, but not necessarily in the sense of a list, a to-do list. It's more of, today's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy having this client meeting. I'm going to go on a great ride on my horse. It's like what I'm going to do, but how I'm going to feel when I'm doing it. So it's got intent behind it. So I am writing down and declaring to myself how I intend to be against the things that I'm going to do in my day. And I find that I'm enjoying my days more. I really am. And I think, wow, I had to get to the age of 44 before I've realized I've been watching the news every day and setting myself up in, for subconsciously, probably a bit of a negative mindset. So that is, it's definitely, there'll be habits that you have. Some of them will be serving you well. And I can guarantee there'll be some sitting there that you don't even know why you do them. You just do it because you always have. So I really urge you to challenge some of that and really see, are there some simple, small changes that you could make that will actually just have a massive impact? So that would really make a difference. So my real belief is that we all have a choice. We have choice, even when we feel like we don't. We do choose. We're the creators of the life that we've got, whether they're through decisions that, I don't like to think in terms of good or bad. It's just the choice that we made at the time has led to what we have now. But that's really empowering as well, because when you realize you have choice, there's things that you can do and change immediately. I read about breathing techniques. I've read about them for years. So I've got a bit of knowledge there. I realize the benefits. It's taken me so long to actually introduce this into my life and do it, because I felt like I always had to be that person doing things. I couldn't sit still for 2 minutes, but now I've incorporated it, and it literally is 2 minutes at a time. I will just do, as I said earlier, sit and close my eyes and just go inward. And I have got so much more energy. I used to have a real energy lapse about 3 o'clock. Usually the time you just need to go and pick the children up, I would have a big slump in energy. And that now, on reflection, doesn't happen. And I think it's because I'm just taking these small moments of time to re-energize myself, recharge my battery. And it's not in a physical way where you think you have to be doing lots of physical things. It's in a mental way. It's just going in and giving my mind a little bit of space. And it's been really, really powerful. So just to read this last slide, I really do believe that anything is possible if you've got the mindset and the will and the desire, and if you put the time in. And the time only has to be minutes at a time, but small changes do have a massive impact. So yeah, that brings me to the end. My contact details are here, and I think I can see there's a question there. Oh, thank you. I've got some a lovely comment here. It was just a question on if the replay is available. This is being recorded, so I think it will be definitely on your site. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Let me just see. Yeah, the replay will be. Let's have a look in the chat. Oh, thank you. I've just got some lovely positive comments in the chat. Thank you, Claire and Karen and Julie. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm happy if you want to ask me any questions, I'm happy to answer. But my intention in this today was really just to send you all some positivity, some joy. It is all possible. It's very easy to allow that side of our brain that wants to drag us into the negative emotions. We judge other people, we judge the circumstances, and harshly of all, we judge ourselves. And when we can try and do our best to catch ourselves doing that and make the intentional shift to feel more compassion or curiosity or creativity or any of those things, then it just sets us up for a better experience in whatever it is we're doing. So yeah, that would be, that is my key message really. But thank you all. Oh, thank you. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you. I'm not sure if someone from.
Thank you very much, Maria. That was a great session. And yes, as Maria said, we will send out the recording to everyone within the next kind of 48 hours. So thank you very much, Maria, and we'll hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.